Amendment rights. You voted to do that even though that citizen had committed no crime, and you voted to allow their rights to be taken in a court proceeding that that citizen doesn't even get to show up to defend themselves. Now today, you're changing the rules to make it easier for you to pursue impeachment of the President of the United States, changing the rules 9 months into the new Congress. First, you vote to take away Americans' firearms, then you vote to impeach the guy they elected president, all in 1 week. Actually, all in less than 48 hours in the House Judiciary Committee, the committee that's supposed to protect the rules, supposed to protect constitutional rights, all in less than 48 hours you're doing it. And why are you changing the rules? Why are you changing the rules? The gentlelady from Arizona was right, because nothing else has worked for you. The Michael Cohen hearing was a flop. The John Dean hearing was a flop. And everyone in the country knows the Bob Mueller hearing, they saw it. That was a flop. So let's change the rules in the middle of the game, because we got to find something. We're out to get this. We got to find something. Never forget how this whole thing started. Never forget how this whole thing started. A false accusation about the President of the United States, saying the President coordinated with a foreign country to influence the election. Jim Comey investigated that for 10 months. Guess what? He found nothing. And we know he found nothing because we deposed him, and he told us after 10 months they didn't have a thing. But that didn't stop it. 22 months later, Bob Mueller does a special counsel investigation. He investigates it for 22 months, and what does he tell us? Other members have already said this. He found nothing. No coordination between the Trump campaign and Russia to impact the election. 32 months of investigations, they find nothing. But what do Democrats want to do? What do they want to do now? Change the rules, keep investigating, because we got to find something so we can impeach this president. Maybe the country would be better served. Maybe the constituents we represent would be better served if we actually figured out how the false accusation happened. And the good news is, as I've said before in this committee, the good news is that's exactly what the Attorney General of the United States is doing. And thank God for Bill Barr. That's exactly what he's doing. But you know what? We could do the same thing. We could do the same thing. And a great place to start is right where Mr. Shabbat just said. Why don't we start with the Inspector General, not just any Inspector General, the Inspector General for the Justice Department, which we have jurisdiction over, just issued a report 2 weeks ago, scathing report on the guy who's most responsible for this 3-year saga that our country has had to live through, Jim Comey. Jim Comey, the guy who opened the investigation in July of 2016. Jim Comey, the guy who allowed Peter Strzok to run that investigation after that guy had ran the Clinton investigation, after that guy had said to Lisa Page, another FBI employee, don't worry, Lisa, we'll stop Trump. Jim Comey, the guy who allowed the dossier to go to the secret court to be used to spy on a fellow American associated with the Trump campaign. Jim Comey, who leaked information to the New York Times through his friends so we would get to special counsel. Jim Comey, the guy who on January 6th goes to Trump Tower trying to trap the president while he's telling the president he's not under investigation. Scathing report by the Inspector General on that guy. And when I asked the chairman 2 days ago when he was busy taking away people's Second Amendment rights, when I asked him two days ago when we might have a chance to question the Inspector General, his response, the chairman of the Judiciary's response was, I don't know, we haven't thought about that. That is scary. That is scary when you have the Inspector General issue that kind of report and the chairman of the Judiciary Committee doesn't even know a thing about it, hasn't even thought about when we're going to bring him in so we can talk to him. This is the Judiciary Committee, for goodness sake, and think about what has happened in 48 hours in this committee. This is scary. And everyone in the country knows, and everyone who said this earlier, they know that there aren't the votes to do this. There aren't the votes to do this right, so you're playing this game in the Judiciary Committee, of all places. Maybe if you were a little less focused on taking people's Second Amendment rights and impeaching the guy they made president, we could actually do what this committee is supposed to do.
Well, let me just say that she hadn't even seen. And my guess is because they are so focused on attacking attacking the individual the American people made president of the United States, that they're looking for anything and everything. The Michael Cohen hearing didn't work for them. The John Dean hearing didn't work for them. The Mueller report and Mueller hearing didn't work for them. The Lewandowski hearing didn't work for them. So let's do a press conference and let's talk about something we haven't even seen, because maybe that'll work. That's how desperate and ridiculous this has gotten, and I think the American people see through it. They see clearly the job that this president has done, and they appreciate that, and they think what the Democrats are doing is ridiculous. And frankly, the precedent it sets is dangerous as well. So, look, we'll look at the document, but I think the facts are that they got nothing else, and they're doing the kind of things that they did yesterday. 160 some Democrats, I think, are wanting to move forward about something they haven't even read, haven't even seen. I don't know that we've ever seen that in the history of the Congress. So with that, I'll yield to our leader, who's doing a great job leading our team, and that's Chairman McCarthy.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Steve.
Steve, I'm sorry. He's doing a good job, too.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you, Jim. Yesterday was a low point in Nancy Pelosi's speakership. And when you see a Speaker of the House come forward and accuse a President of the United States of breaking the law to the level that it should meet the definition in the Constitution of high crimes and misdemeanor, without even being able to name the crime, without having even read the report that she's basing this wild and irresponsible accusation on, is the height of irresponsibility for Speaker of the House to do that. And unfortunately, we've seen this drumbeat towards impeachment from her conference since the day Donald Trump got elected. They made it clear first with the resist movement that they didn't want to acknowledge he was elected. He was duly elected by the people of this country. There's an election next year where we can hash out who's going to be the next president. And when Donald Trump's reelected, who knows if they'll continue to go down that road. But the fact that they're using this majority to try to undo the results of the 2016 election is disgraceful. They can't name a high crime and misdemeanor. If you're going to base it on a press report from a second-hand person that thinks they heard something, and that's the most you've got, to claim that crimes were committed, this is a serious responsibility that the Congress has. Only 3 times in the history of our country has a House of Representatives brought forward articles of impeachment. Yet Jerry Nadler, when he took the chairmanship of the committee just a few weeks ago, said that he wants to bring articles of impeachment to the House floor by the end of this year. And when you ask them, what are those articles of impeachment? They can't name a single one. They thought the Mueller report was going to produce impeachable evidence, and it didn't. In fact, it showed the president didn't collude. And so instead of dropping it and actually focusing on the real problems this country faces, instead of bringing the USMCA bill to the floor, which would pass and create over 160,000 new jobs in America, which has broad support, Republicans and Democrats, labor unions, and trade groups. Instead of doing those kind of things, lowering prescription drug prices, when we've brought bills out of committee unanimously to lower prescription drug prices, which is a major problem that families are facing. Those bills could be signed into law today, creating new jobs and lowering drug prices for Americans. But instead, late Nancy Pelosi is wasting her speakership trying to undo the results of the 2016 election by impeaching the president with no basis. Now, if you look at the Constitution, it gives the House of Representatives the ability to impeach a president for crimes. It's a check on the executive. And instead, Nancy Pelosi is using impeachment as a check on the electorate because she doesn't agree with the results of the 2016 election where people actually elected Donald Trump president. There is going to be an election next year, and we can litigate all of the differences between a conservative, pro-business approach to free market enterprise versus socialism. And clearly they're moving towards socialism. But to abuse the power of the House and the speakership by trying to go after a president even when there's no basis of fact that she can name. She cannot name one high crime and misdemeanor, and yet she still wants to move forward with impeachment. It's disgraceful. And with that, I'll bring up our leader, Kevin McCarthy.
Thank you, Steve. You know, normally, in a normal Congress, we'd come here and we'd talk to you about what's going to be on the floor. what legislation is passing through committee, what problem that we're going to solve, our ability to work together. But let's see the facts of this Congress. Democrats have voted 3 times to impeach the president. Twice they voted before the Mueller report even had one word public. I just watched the Speaker yesterday demean the office of the speakership. I understand members when they want to be political, but the power of the Speaker is a much different place to be. I listened to the Speaker claim that the President violated the law based on nothing that she had read, based upon a whistleblower that wasn't even listening to a conversation, with an IG saying that the whistleblower has political bias.